Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to tear apart a betting strategy that pretty much flips the usual thinking on its head. It's called the banker bet, and it's all about finding value where you'd least expect it. Not in the crazy long shots, but in the near certainties.
So, let me ask you something. Think about it. What if you could put together a bet that wasn't about hitting some 1 in a million prayer, but was actually built on a series of things that are super likely to happen? That's the powerful idea at the heart of what we're unpacking today.
Okay, first things first, we got to get on the same page about one key term, and that's the accumulator, or what most people just call an Acca. It's basically one big bet that's made up of a bunch of smaller bets, different legs. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Every single one of those legs has to come through. If even one fails, the whole thing's a bust. And that is where this whole banker idea comes in. See, most people use Accas to chase these huge payouts, right? They string together a bunch of risky bets hoping for a lottery win. Well, this strategy, it completely flips that on its head. It's all about stringing together a series of really high probability outcomes to build a return that's, more modest but way more reliable. It's a system that's built on cold, hard probability, not just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best.
And what's so cool about this, and what the source material lays out so clearly, is that this whole big idea, it really just boils down to two core tactics. Super simple, super repeatable. So let's dive in and see what they are.
So, here they are, the two big pillars of this whole thing. On one hand, you've got what we can call the must-score bet. This is where you're betting on a powerhouse team to do something super basic, like score just one single goal. Then, on the other hand, you have the no-blowout bet. And this is where you're betting against a game going completely off the rails and turning into some kind of chaotic, high-scoring mess.
And look, this isn't me just making this up. The source material spells it out, plain as day. It literally talks about betting overs on rock-bottom 0.5 lines, which, if you're not familiar, is just a fancy way of saying you're betting that at least one goal gets scored in the game. That's our must-score bet right there. Then it talks about betting unders on high lines where chaos is unlikely. See, you're betting the total goals will stay under a high number, and that's the no-blowout bet. So yeah, this isn't just guesswork. It's a real, defined system.
Okay, so theory is great and all, but what does this actually look like when the rubber hits the road? Well, luckily, the source gives us a perfect example to break down, a real 6-selection accumulator. So let's go through it, bet by bet, and slot each one into our two-pillar framework.
All right, let's start with pillar number 1, the must-score bets. These are the easy ones to get your head around. We're talking about selections that are just banking on a really good team to do what they do best, find the back of the net at least once.
So in the source example, we've got 3 of these. First up is FC Thun, who are described as being top of their league on a winning streak, just absolutely ruthless scorers. Easy choice, right? Then you have Real Madrid, a giant, playing in the Champions League, at home in their fortress. The chances of them not scoring are, well, they're tiny. And the third one is a bit different. It's a bet on the total goals being over 0.5, because both teams are competitive and play open games, making a 0-0 snooze fest super unlikely. But you see the theme, right? In every single case, the bet is on the bare minimum. Just one goal. That's it.
Okay, now for the other side of the strategy, the no-blowout bets. And honestly, these are a little more counterintuitive, a little more clever, I think. The whole idea here is to bet that a match, even one with a huge favorite, is going to stay relatively controlled and not just explode into a crazy goal fest. And again, the source gives us 3 great examples. You've got Al Nassr, who are challenging for the title. Yeah, they're probably going to win, but are they going to score 6 or more goals? The bet says no. Then there's PSG in a knockout game. They're going to want to dominate, sure, but also play smart, manage the game, not go on some reckless goal chase, so the bet is they'll score under 5.5. And finally, Juventus, a team famous for its controlled, tactical style. Even when they need a goal, they're not going to just start a shootout. So the bet here, you see, it isn't about who wins, it's about the personality of the game itself.
So you've got these 6 individual bets, and on their own, the odds for each one are tiny, right? Because they're all so likely to happen. The real magic, or, just the math, is what happens when you string them all together. This is where you see the awesome power of compounding in action. And the way it works is actually super simple. It's just multiplication. You just take the decimal odd for your first bet, something really small, like 1.06, for example. Then you multiply that by the odds of the second bet. And then you take that result, multiply it by the third, and you just keep going down the line until all 6 of your selections are all multiplied together.
So when you do all that math for the 6 bets in our example, what do you get?
You end up with a final combined odd of about 1.45. Now, what does that mean? It means a potential 45% return on whatever you staked. And look, it's not going to make you a millionaire overnight, it's not a lottery ticket win, but a 45% return built on a foundation of super likely events, that is a pretty significant result.
But you know, when you really get down to it, this is about so much more than just the numbers on the screen. This whole strategy, it reveals a completely different philosophy about risk. It's not about that one big life-changing win. It's about trusting a process that you can repeat over and over. So let's kind of unpack what that mindset is all about.
So what it all comes down to is this. It's about focusing on the highest probability events, not the wildest dreams. You're throwing out that whole lottery ticket mentality, right? Instead, you're valuing consistency and slow, steady gains. You're prioritizing a process that you can use again and again. The whole goal is to build your returns through that compounding effect we talked about, not by hitting some crazy 1 in a million long shot.
And that really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. With a strategy like this, what's the real win? Is it the money you get at the end? Or is it in creating and trusting a solid process? It's a question that applies to way more than just betting, that's for sure. Something to think about. Hey, thanks for tuning in and breaking this down with me today.